The purpose of our drift is to see whether the Cardiff Castle has been forgotten in time. We asked ourselves, does the castle have a place in modern Cardiff? Is the castle valued today? Is it purely a tourist attraction? And has been forgotten as the city develops?
Historically, Romans first settled in Cardiff in 55 AD and built a military fort on the site of the castle. In 1091 it was rebuilt by the Normans, and in later 1868 it was renovated by the Victorians. In 1947 the Marquess of Bute presented Cardiff Castle to the citizens of Cardiff. Today, however, it forms one of Cardiff's historic tourist attractions.
Cardiff Castle has been a constant feature around which the city has developed and evolved. Between the 1900s and the 1920s, the road layout was significantly altered around the castle, and by the 1940s the shops fronting the castle had been removed as the road widened.
Whilst walking in Bute Park, we considered whether the castle was a backdrop to the park or the park a backdrop to the castle. Bute Park holds many sporting, musical and festival events throughout the year, along with being a recreation area. Cardiff Castle, on the other hand, however, remains a tourist attraction, rarely used by Cardiff residents. We considered this as we walked through the park.
There is a further lack of consideration for the castle, as shown by the skip and the roadworks on the green space surrounding the castle, both detracting from the appearance of the castle and encroaching on the barrier between the historic castle and the centre of Cardiff. Does this make the castle more of a dumping ground than a historical monument?
As the city has developed around the castle, this area of Cardiff been left behind? Cast aside from the important city centre shopping of Queen Street, modern buildings now dominate the skyline, once ruled by the castle's turrets and church spirals. Today, modern buildings such as the Millennium Stadium overpower the castle. The cityscape now dictates the symbolic castle, emphasising the appearance of it being out of place, a landmark within Cardiff.
Not only do the modern buildings overshadow the castle physically, but also in the minds of the people. We asked residents of Cardiff to list their top 5 built features of the city. The castle only appeared 30% of the time in people's top 2, whereas the Millennium Stadium appeared 65% of the time. This emphasises how the modern aspects of the city are taken away from the historic. We felt it was ironic that the benches in the park all faced away from the castle, and this possibly helps to emphasise the point that the castle is in fact a backdrop to the park.
The 4-lane road which surrounds the castle on 2 sides acts as a divide between the castle and the city centre, making the castle appear as an obstruction or obstacle to the redevelopment of the city and to car users seeking access to the centre of Cardiff.
It could then be argued that the castle is merely a landmark, as people often use it to direct rather than to sell the city.
There have been many efforts to regenerate this castle back into the city space and hearts of the population, particularly by using it as an ornament, which Christmas lights are hung upon every year, like a giant tree, thus helping to draw people's attention back to this outstanding feature of the city.
Although people living in Cardiff don't seem to recognise its historical importance, of those visiting the city from overseas, 80% said that seeing Cardiff Castle was their priority, and 51% said that it was their favourite attraction in the city. The welcome sign outside the castle gates is testament to this, listing 10 different languages, showing the scope of the attraction to those from overseas.
Overshadowed,
Obstacle, ornament, out of place. These are the 4 O's that we attributed to Cardiff Castle.
Cardiff Castle remains an important feature of the city, however its importance has diminished and is no longer a necessity to residents, sometimes being viewed as an inconvenience when travelling by car.
However, the castle definitely has a place in modern Cardiff, contributing to tourism, and although often overlooked by residents, it would be dearly missed.
So in your view, is Cardiff Castle forgotten in history?